My 31M pregnant wife, 30F, wants our kid to have her ex's name. It's killing me. Sorry this is long. We have been married 2 years. Before we got together she was with a guy named X for several years. They were on the verge of moving in together when she dumped him. I met her a few months after. They share a whole friend group and have always stayed in touch. They didn't talk every day but about twice a month would catch up via text or FaceTime. She never hid it from me or lied about it. I've met him a few times and he seemed like a stand-up guy. He even came to our wedding and said he had a great time. My problem started when he died in a terrible accident a few months later. I was on a business trip when my wife went to his funeral. She did invite me to go but I couldn't get out of it. She was broken up about it, but no more or less than anyone who has had someone they care about die. I thought she was over it until we recently found out she was pregnant. We had more trouble than we expected and she never wanted to get her hopes up, so last week was the first time we started talking baby names. She wants to give our son X's first or last name as his middle name. They're both common names so nobody would immediately make that connection, but I don't want to think of her ex every time I look at my kid. I'm heartbroken that she wants to. She says he was such a big part of her life and we should honor his memory. Plus we wouldn't be together if she hadn't ended things with him. I said I'd think about it, but I don't really know what to tell her. Our marriage is otherwise perfect. Should I let this go? How will I ever get past this? Baby names are a 2 yes, 1 no topic. Don't budge. You both need to agree on a name. There are many ways she can honor his memory privately. Having his name attached to your child is not one of them. Oh God, no. I wouldn't budge on this. She says he was such a big part of her life and we should honor his memory. She should honor his memory. He was a big part of her life, not yours. She should find a healthy way to honor him without dragging you or your child into it. I would not be okay with my BF wanting to name our child his ex's name. That is so not fair to you even if he passed away. She may need to see a therapist cause it sounds like she's got some issues surrounding her ex. But don't let her do this cause you will most likely hate the name and not want to call you child by it. This would be the hill I'd die on. That's incredibly unfair to you. If he was such a big part of her life, why did she dump him? I would make that point to her. Wife. You broke up with him and married me. I get that it's sad he died. But naming our child after your dead ex-boyfriend make me feel like he means more to you than I do. And if that is the case, we have serious problems. I can never understand this. Both people should love a name for it to be given to their child. Even ignoring the ex thing. Which I find absolutely gross and inappropriate, by the way. You're right not to want it. If one partner doesn't want a name, how selfish do you have to be to insist? How would she feel if you wanted to name the kid after an ex? Also, if she's saying stuff like, we wouldn't be together if X and I hadn't broken up, that's messed up. And you need to tell her to stop. Do not do this. Tragic, yes. But she needs to move on from her ex and focus on you. Very unfair for you and selfish. It sounds like your wife is experiencing a lot of guilt over his death, like the, maybe if then he wouldn't be dead. Has she considered attending therapy? Also, since this will be such a sensitive topic for you to discuss, you might want to attend couples counseling to work through this one. This is really unfair on you. There is no way in hell I would allow my wife to do this. Nope. That is the most disrespectful shit I've ever heard. Tell her no. Feel free to point out that you don't actually need a justification beyond that. If one of you doesn't like a name, then it should be off the list so you can move on to one of the thousands of other options that could be mutually acceptable. But if she insists on pushing, she needs to realize that our kid wouldn't be here without him is misguided at best and insulting to you at worst. And she really needs to see a counselor to figure out ways to work through her grief that don't involve asking you to live with it forever if she's still not seeing the problem here. I've had a couple exes of mine pass away. It's sad, but I would never ask my SO to name our child after either of those people. They meant a lot to me and changed my life. But it's not fair to my partner to name our child after one of them. I wouldn't want my partner to suggest naming our kid after one of his exes. Get a tattoo or something to honor your ex if you really want to. Obviously not while pregnant. But naming a child after an ex, that just puts you, her current partner, in an uncomfortable spot. Plus, the whole "we wouldn't be together if I hadn't ended it with my ex" could be used for any ex. Obviously, if it never ended, they would still be together. That's not a good reason. I would just be honest with her about how it makes you uncomfortable, and would prefer to leave previous partners' names out of the running for the name for your child. You should suggest that based on her logic, the child also gets your most recent ex's name someplace in their name. After all, you two wouldn't be together if you didn't break up. And I mean, your most recent ex is gonna die eventually. Get it out of the way. Sound weird to her? It should. The name should be important to both parties. A yes for both people, not a maybe. If you are uncomfortable, do not select this name for your kid and doom them to resentment. And maybe you two should go to counseling so you can talk to each other. Your wife needs to speak to a professional. There's obviously some kind of underlying grief she's not dealing with properly. Admittedly, a petty side of my brain is suggesting you bring up the name of your ex and insist it would be a great name for a daughter and see how receptive she is to that idea, but I feel like that's putting gasoline on a fire. I am certain she can find some other way to honor his memory. I could come up with a couple dozen if she can't. This is extremely disrespectful. She just needs to see it. That's a big no. So years down the line, when your child asks about how their name was chosen, do you guys tell them the truth that one of their names is in the memory of her ex? Or do you lie? When your child then naturally asks you how you feel about that, do you guys tell them the truth? Or do you lie? Does your wife want to raise your child knowing that at some point you will likely have to lie to your kid so that she can save face?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.